Corn snakes might be the most popular pet snake in the entire world, and today I'm going to tell you everything you need to know to take care of one properly. This is a corn snake. You find these in the southeast of the United States. It's a diurnal animal, which means they're out during the day most of the time, and in my opinion, might be the perfect pet colubrid. So through 6 categories, let's talk about how to take care of one, starting with category number 1, size. The size of an animal is always super important because you want to know if your animal is going to get 2 feet or 20 feet. Luckily, these are not reticulated pythons. These animals are going to get 4 or 5 feet maybe. Now keep in mind, there's always outliers. The average adult man is 5'11", but there are the Shaqs of the world and the me's of the world. There are outliers on either side. So this snake here, this is a female, I would say about 3 feet, but females can definitely get up to 5. And sometimes 6 in very, very, very rare occasions. But don't worry, if you get a baby, they don't just morph into these giant snakes or, 3 foot or 4 foot snake. These animals take about 2 or 3 years to get to full size, and through the course of their life, once they top out, they'll continue growing really, really slowly. And they stay really slender like this. We're talking 300 to 700 grams as an average with outliers, of course. This animal here, I'm not sure of the weight, but is probably somewhere in the middle. Next, you need to know what enclosure to keep your animal in. And with these guys, it's great because it's the standard or most common size enclosure that we see now, which is a 4x2x2 in feet, and in centimeters, it's this. It doesn't matter if you use wood or glass or PVC, which is the most common. As long as I have the area or the room, that's what I recommend. In an animal that stays pretty small like this, you might be able to get away with a smaller enclosure, 75 gallons, but I always recommend 4x2x2 because 120 gallons gives them space to climb and move around. And that's what you want to have in the enclosure. Things for them to do. Give them climbing opportunities. Even if you just go outside and get a bunch of branches and then disinfect them and put them in the enclosure, you can do that. Or you can buy brand new branches that are made for snakes. Doesn't really matter. Add some clutter. If you plant it, make sure that the plants are really sturdy because most snakes, even though this isn't a heavy-bodied snake, are just gonna trample over your plants. Of course, make sure the enclosure is escape-proof and it has a water bowl in it. This is probably the most important furnishing that there is. Make sure the water bowl is there and you're cleaning the water bowl every few days, or once it's soiled. If you see that your snake has soiled the water bowl, make sure that you clean it immediately. Because of their requirements, there's a bunch of different ways that you can do the ground. So a lot of people will use something like slate tiles. I don't really recommend this for snakes. They do like to burrow a little bit, not deep. I prefer using some sort of soil mix. The one that I use is a little bit of play sand, some organic topsoil, some coconut core, coconut chip, some sphagnum moss. Just mix it all up together, put it in there, and then I use a cleanup crew to make it bioactive, but you definitely don't need to make it bioactive. If you want to keep it simple, aspen, water bowl, 2 hides, 1 on each side, and some climbing branches, and that's it. Just make sure they also have a humid hide, which we'll get to with the heat, humidity, and lighting, which is our next category. The great thing about corn snakes is they're so easy. I mean, these snakes are found in the United States where most of the audience that's watching this is. Don't worry if you're not, I live in Canada. I don't live there either. The important thing with almost all reptiles is a gradient, a temperature gradient. So you want one side of the enclosure to be cool, the other side to be warm, and then you have a basking spot, which we'll get to in a second. This is also why I love a longer enclosure than 3 foot, because it gives them more of a gradient. And keep in mind the temperatures that I'm about to tell you are a guideline. It doesn't have to be exactly perfect, just shoot for these parameters. On the cool side, I like to keep mine between 72 and 75 degrees. In the warm side, I prefer 80 to 83 degrees Fahrenheit. Again, if it's 85, it's fine. There's a gradient, right? So if it's too warm for them, they'll just move closer to the cool side, because as the cool side goes to the warm side, it's not a temperature over here and a temperature over here. It's a gradient of temperature all the way through. Now, these are the daytime temperatures, and if you want to make your enclosure drop into the 60s during the nighttime, that is totally acceptable. That is exactly the temperature that you'd find them at in the wild. The basking spot is important too. So this isn't an air temperature. This is a surface temperature on the warm side that they can sit on, and it helps them digest their meals and then get up to the right temperature early in the morning. And at night, they like to sit there too. For this, my sweet spot is 91. You can go anywhere from like 88 to 95. I think that's the best, most accurate representation of where they're from, and also it's not too hot. Once you get hotter than 95, it's a little bit dangerous in my opinion. And the way that I produce a hotspot is I like to have a basking bulb during the daytime on top of slate on the bottom, or some sort of stone, a brick, whatever it is that you want to use. And then at night, if you need to add heat, I use a radiant heat panel or I use a ceramic heat emitter. It's really up to you. There's a bunch of different ways to do it. Humidity is really easy. It's basically whatever your house is for most of the country or most of North America and even parts of Europe. 40 to 60%. That's what they're gonna find in the wild. If you have it, 40 during the day and 60 at night, great. If it spikes to 70 at night, you're okay. That's totally normal too. But that humid hide I was talking about, you wanna add some sort of hide that has humidity inside of it that's higher than the ambient humidity inside of the enclosure. I prefer 80-ish%, 80-85%. And the way I do that is just a sandwich container with some moss inside of it on the hot side. This is especially important when they're shedding. You notice this animal here looks kind of dull. That's because she's about to go into a shed. She's got a humid hide. Right now it's about 88% humidity, so a little high, but it's totally fine. And for lighting, they don't need anything special. I do add a 2.4% UVB light. You don't need to do this. I just prefer to because I think it's more naturalistic. But what's important is that they have light for about 12 hours and then they have dark for about 12 hours. Now, you can cycle it with the sun where you are if you're in the northern hemisphere. That's what I do. So in the summer, it's closer to 16 hours of light. And then during the winter, sometimes it goes down to 8 hours of light. That's totally fine. They just need to know when it's daylight and when it's not so that they can regulate their sleep patterns. I get this question a lot. Yes, that means that the room that they're in should be dark at night. Now I just rattled off a whole bunch of different things for you to buy or find. If you're looking for a place to buy them all, you can go to the link below. Chewy.com has you covered. I've got a whole list on there of what to buy for corn snakes. You probably buy your dog food on there anyway. And actually, we just ran out of bully sticks thanks to the promotion going on at the Tinley Expo. So if you're looking for something early for Halloween and you want to trick or treat your dog with some bully sticks, you definitely can. Starting on Saturday, we're restocked. But for now, if you want to feed your animal, which we'll get to in a minute, Rodent Pro has free shipping right now on Chewy.com. Everything from pinkies all the way to large rats. But you're only gonna need the mice. We'll talk about that in a second. Thanks, Chewy, for sponsoring today's episode. Next, the diet is so easy. You're gonna feed the mice their entire lives. Some people will feed them rats and quails and whatever else. I prefer to keep them on mice. It's super simple, it's easy, it's similar to what they'd eat in the wild, and it is the perfect nutrition for the specific species of snake. And you don't have to change the frequency. I feed all my corn snakes once a week. The only thing that changes is the size of the mouse. When they're babies right out of the egg, they eat pinkies, and then once they're adults, they eat adult mice, or sometimes jumbo adult mice if you get a really big snake. And you just graduate them. Whatever the size of the mouse is should be the same thickness of the snake, or pretty darn close. You don't have to measure in millimeters. It'll be fine. Just get close. They'll eat once a week. They'll probably poop once a week, which means you have to clean up poop once a week. It's a lot easier than having a dog. Or four. Next, behavior. This is kind of what you get. This is a typical corn snake. I mean, there are outliers where that'll be, more like a ball python in that they don't move, or the typical colubrid where they move a lot. But this is kind of it, where you can comfortably have a conversation and not pay too much attention to the snake and wondering what they're doing. This snake is just exploring. Sometimes I readjust. This one's too small to put around my neck, which is why I hold this thing the entire time. But once your snake is a little bit bigger, 4 or 5 foot, you can, put it around your neck, watch a movie, hang out, edit a video, whatever it is that you like to do, passively handling your snake. Or you can take it outside, let it play in the grass, whatever, or put it in a tree, as we did here. They're just super fun, and they're not an animal that you have to be too on guard with. These are generally pretty placid animals. And although they can be fast, they're definitely slow enough that if you wanted to hand it to a child, it's not gonna just bolt away, and it's not gonna be so fast it's gonna scare them. If you wanna get your kids used to handling snakes, ball pythons, in my opinion, are the best, but corn snakes are a close second. Lastly, price, availability, and morphs. There's no point of talking about corn snakes or wanting to get a corn snake if you can't afford one or you can't find one. The price of a corn snake varies depending on morph, so let's cover that first. There's a bunch of different morphs. There's normal ones that look like this. There's some that are albino or caramel or whatever this one was. Unfortunately, this one, Cornholio, passed away, but he had a great life and we had a great time. This one here is kind of an interesting one, my favorite morph, which is the blood red pied. It's also het for exanthic. So we're trying to breed these guys. We haven't had any luck, but definitely an interesting type of coloration. You can see the white on the sides. You can see it's very, very dark red. I like this color. There's so many different ones. There's the palmettos as well, and then the price varies. A snake like this is gonna cost you $300 or $400, but a normal corn snake you can get at a reptile expo for like $20 to $50. Palmettos will cost you, $400 to $700. There's a whole bunch of different ones. There's scaleless ones too that don't have scales that might be a little more expensive. You can buy a corn snake in any budget. And in terms of the availability, they're everywhere. I was just at, a really big reptile expo in Tinley Park, Illinois, and I'll tell you what, they're on every other table. The small expos I go to in Toronto, every other table. It doesn't matter where you go to an expo, find one from a good breeder, go to your local reptile shop. It doesn't really matter. You're gonna find a corn snake no matter where you go. I do recommend finding a breeder though, because if you go to a big box pet store, they're gonna charge you probably 5 times the price. And that is how you take care of a corn snake. If you have any other questions, let me know in the comments section below. And if you have the answers before I get to it, feel free to help out everybody in the comments. And while you're down there, which species should we do a care guide for next?